So like so many this evening, I'll be stepping outside my home to join the rest of the nation and clap for the incredible work being done by our frontline carers and key workers. For 10 weeks now, we've come together each Thursday to show our gratitude and to honour their sacrifices. And today feels even more special because it's been suggested that this should be the last time for a while. So this time, I want to propose that as well as clapping our amazing carers and key workers, we should also clap each other. Why? Well, because over the past 2 months, almost to a person, the British people have made immense sacrifices to protect each other and particularly our most vulnerable citizens. Humanity's inclination to be kind during COVID-19 is the greatest demonstration of solidarity the world has ever seen. Now, my email inbox is full of messages from people with harrowing stories of the sacrifices they've made. People losing a last time to see a loved one, missing funerals, weddings, births, deaths. The compassion and generosity have been extraordinary, from staying at home when we were asked, to the spontaneous growth of so many mutual aid groups just getting stuff done. So as we face the biggest challenge ahead, the climate crisis, we must never forget the truth about what we're capable of doing. Hold on to knowing that in the face of unimaginable suffering and grief and financial hardship and worry, the connections we have made with each other have helped us get through. Now, a combination of myths and vested interests have somehow convinced many of us to believe that human beings are basically shallow and self-interested. Well, it's a lie. The inclination to goodness is hardwired in humanity. Despite the danger and fear and terrible sadness caused by this pandemic, we can now finally demolish the miserable mythology of human selfishness. The hundreds of thousands of volunteers willing to risk their lives to help out, the millions of key workers who put duty and compassion above their own safety, the mutual aid movement which has brought together communities up and down our land, determined to ensure that none amongst us suffers unnecessarily or alone. Now, the courage and solidarity of the British people stands in stark contrast to the leadership our country has suffered during this crisis. And I think that's why we are all so angry over the actions of Dominic Cummings. It's as if all those sacrifices are being thrown back in our faces. So I share your fury in face of the complacency, incompetence and dishonesty that we have endured. But just as we have changed as a nation, then as communities, as individuals, we have to believe that if we apply the right pressure, if we the people show the lead, we can force even this government to do the right thing. So this is a time for simple messages, even if some people choose willfully to ignore them. We have one chance to build the better future we deserve, a future where we and the climate are safer. The biggest barrier to change on the climate emergency is not the dwindling band of those who deny the science, but the much larger group who fear that humanity is collectively incapable of acting, who've given in to pessimism and apathy. What leader is willing to confront people with reality? How could the economy ever adapt to become net zero? Would citizens ever be willing to change their habits, much less to make hard choices for the greater long-term good? Well, now we know. Now we know. We know that those leaders who've been open and honest and determined have saved thousands of lives. We know that if they must, governments can sustain people while the economy goes through changes much more rapid or severe than are necessary to tackle the climate crisis. And most of all, we know that humanity has demonstrated its capacity to act together to meet a common challenge and to protect those in greatest need and danger. Better is already happening, and it will continue happening for as long as we remember the remarkable things that we have done together. And soon the history of these tragic and inspiring days will be written. Will it be the history of extinction or the history of recovery and renewal? Well, that's the choice, and it's a choice we're all making now. So let's choose with hope and courage. First, to commit to a green recovery. From energy efficiency to clean transport, the best way to get people back to work and to modernise our economy is the green way. Our economic plan must also be our climate change plan. Second, let's choose to build a better future from the bottom up, tapping into the incredible energy and generosity shown by the people of Britain. Let's give every part of our country the tools they need to build inclusive and sustainable places and communities. Share power, share resources, share responsibility. And third, let's choose to put people back at the heart of our democracy, all of us as partners in designing a better future for our nation. And fourth, Let's choose to extend the connections we've made in our communities, work together whatever our political beliefs, make the UK a beacon for international cooperation and the first mover in helping rebuild and renew the global institutions that we need to tackle the climate crisis. So why wouldn't we choose to take actions today to ensure that the history of those who have suffered is not written in despair, but in hope? And if you ask yourself, can I do it? Each step of the way, I promise you that I will be here to remind you that, oh yes, you most certainly can.